Thanks, Liz. First, I want to say for those that celebrate Eid, happy Eid. I know that's today, and I would like to do a land acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Creek Nation, Choctaw Nation, and the Chickasaw Nation. These peoples have a long history and a deep connection to this land, and we honor their presence and legacy. We also acknowledge the ongoing impact of colonialism on Indigenous communities and their enduring presence and resilience. In addition, we acknowledge the overlapping histories of this land, including past violence and ongoing harm produced by the legacy of racialized slavery and oppression. We also recognize the significant contribution of enslaved people to the university's early development, including the forced labor that built the campus and provided the infrastructure necessary for its operation. We acknowledge the lasting legacy of injustice and inequity that these historical realities have created, and we are committed to working towards building a more inclusive and just future. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I tend to say too many words and I don't use my notes, so I'm going to use my notes here. For the past 5 years, I've had the honor of knowing Zellipah Githui as a fellow FairTrade Federation board member, through serving together through the FTF's Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, and as my personal dealer feeding my addiction to African basketry, and most importantly, as my friend. Zellipah holds a diploma in Sustainable Development and Human Rights from the UN-mandated University for Peace and an MBA in International Business from Missouri State University. Since the foundation of her company, Gitzell FairTrade, she's invested over $1.5 million in the weaving communities she partners with in 5 countries across the African continent. Zellipah's story, which I don't want to spoil for you, makes me feel so proud and honored to call her my friend, because she embodies the values that I continuously pursue as an entrepreneur: fairness, equity, and a commitment to people and planet. And because every time I see her, I come away with the thought of, hell yes, the world needs more women like Zellipah, women who are unafraid of acknowledging their own brains, power, spirit, and passion, and using it to create a better world for the next generation. Even now, as I begin my own journey of launching my children into the world beyond home, I hope that they embrace their future with even half of the fearlessness of my friend Zellipah. And now, Zellipah Githui.
Good morning. Good morning. This needs to stay here.
No, you can click there. Oh, no, you'll have to stand there.
Okay, very good. Wanted to know, normally I like to move around so I can get close to you. Yeah, good. At least I like to test whether we can understand each other. I haven't come from a very strong English accent. So my name is Zellipah Githui. I'd like to say born and raised in Kenya. And I'm really, really honored. And I felt very honored when I got that invite from Lindsay. Thank you so much. And I'm going to walk through my journey up to where I am. You know, how the weaving came to help me become who I am and integrate to the community. So let me start off with the story, because stories is what I tell more than anything else. When I moved to the US back in 1998 as a student, the F1 visa, and I'm glad you mentioned about people not having visas, because it is something that we are dealing with very strongly, and it is sad that you know, even people qualified are not able to come and join in things like this one. When I moved to the US in 1998, I brought my nieces with me and invited my nieces to come. And one of my nieces got to the port of entry, and after you go through customs and you're excited, very excited, now you get customs, you've got your immigration, you have your visa, and she wanted to go to the bathroom. And as she was going to the bathroom, she saw a water fountain, just like the one outside here. And later on, I'll talk about casual shops, but she saw a water fountain, and she wanted to drink some water. So she said, but how does this work? So she waited and saw somebody went and pressed it and got some water. So she waited again. I'm like, how is this working? Well, somebody else went, pressed it, and got some water. Now she said, it's my turn. She went and pressed it, and there was no water. She went and bent, and there was no water. She bent again, trying to press, and there's no water. And she said, this is America technology. She said, water! There was no water. And she remembered, I'm in America. Water! We say that because the water and water is things that we struggle with all the time. But anyway, that's my tester to see whether you can understand me. Now I can get moving. Thank you. So I was born and raised in a large family in Kenya. I am the 8th child of 9 of my mother. And I'm the 16th of 17 of my father. So we grew up as a large family. And we grew up with scarcity. There was never enough to eat. Not enough shelter. You share the net bedroom with those mud houses. We lived in poverty. And as I was growing up, being the younger child, my mother was so used to farming. She was a farmer, and then she could weave. She could weave, she could crochet, she could do knit. She had all the chores that you can do at home. There were chores. And as kids, when you came from school, you were immersed either to milking or to harvesting or to knitting, or whatever it is. So I got interested into weaving. It was still a chore, but it's something that I got interested in. So I know I am speaking to people who are very, very familiar with the weaving, but the weaving that I grew up weaving is using sisal. Sisal is a cactus that you squeeze the juice out. And once you squeeze the juice out, you get this fiber. It's quite tough. I'll pass it around. And then you twist the fiber, to get double-stranded, get it started for weaving. So I'll leave this here for you to look at your convenience. So that's what I grew up weaving with the sisal. So my family, like I mentioned earlier, was relatively poor. But we always say poor is relative, and that's why I always use the word relative, because a majority of people thought we were better. They thought we were better because my father was employed as a government official, and he worked away from home. We always worked away from home. And when it came the evening, he would bring us, every Friday, he would bring us a loaf of bread or, a cake, baked a pastry. And, most people didn't have that. So it was people that were very wealthy. So I learned the art of weaving from my mother. And then my father was a disciplinarian. So the times I grew up, being the younger one, women education in Kenya had started being important. So parents had started taking their kids to school. I will not say the same for my older siblings, because they would be married. The goal was to, get them married, get money, get some dowry. But I was fortunate enough to go through education, and I got my diploma in food science in Kenya and worked for some of the prestigious companies before I moved to here to pursue my degree. And don't worry if it doesn't advance, it's just my story. So the pictures are really so that you have something to look. Just this one. So then I moved from the Kenya straight to Pittsburgh, Kansas. Pittsburgh, Kansas, if you know where that is, I'm glad some of you know where it is near Joplin, Missouri. It's a very small university place. And I wanted to share, so that's my family there. So I worked for those companies in Kenya. And then as I was working there, started my business of importing and also as well as coaching. So Africa is not a country. We said that, and because everybody asks, where are you from? And on my basket, you see they have a tag says either made in Ghana, made in Kenya, or made in Africa. We said that because it is easier to the consumer to reference Africa than trying to think, where is Benin, where is Guinea, what's that? What's Burkina Faso, So Africa is not a country. It has 54 countries individually governed. It's the poorest country or continent, and it has the youngest population. Right now, the average age of Africans is 17.5 years. So you can see it's very young. And now, most of them are educated. The majority of the youth are educated. Everybody is going to school because now going to school has become the work. We have nothing else to do. So go to school and, and keep your kids hoping that they can get a job. The unemployment rate right now is a little bit around 53% in Kenya. There's more people unemployed than there's people employed. So there's a good place to look into when you're thinking of doing those data entry and stuff like that, outsourcing. We can hook you up. One of the things I like to say is that, pretty much it's a beautiful continent. Wherever you go, it's beautiful. You'll be loved. It is just wonderful to visit there. Why do people migrate in the US? So, of course, education, work, medical, you win the visa, a lot of refugees coming in, walking the border, and all other means, reason that can bring somebody here. Right now, like we talked earlier, visas have become such a big challenge. Immigrants contribute a lot to the economy. So when we come here, I just give you a background of coming from unemployment, coming from scarcity. So when you come here, I want to do the best you can. I was just talking to my young friend here that make use of where you are. Because going back, I was just going back is an option. It's not an option. We always try to say it's not an option. Yeah, it is home. I'm heading to Kenya on Monday. But when I go to Kenya, my family prefers me when I'm on this side. They'll see me like I'm more productive on this side. And so are the artisans. They tell me, hey, we don't like you here. We don't like to see you here. Because they know when I'm in Kenya, things are not moving. The products are not moving. But so we make good employees, we make good entrepreneurs, civic engagements, and we work a lot in nonprofits. So I moved here back in 1998, and just as any immigrant, we suffer a lot of cultural shock. Language is a big deal. Come here speaking English fluent, with a degree, working high level. But I got here and no one could understand me. One person like, did you come by boat? Are you speaking Spanish? Did you live on a tree? I mean, literally every question, not from a hate perspective, from a lack of exposure perspective, And I questioned myself. I'm like, what's happened to this girl who came very successful from Kenya, a scientist, and now nobody can understand me. What has become of me? You come here and we lose our culture a little bit, no, quite a bit, because when I came in Pittsburgh, Kansas, not many people look like me, not many people behave like me, not couldn't find the food, and a lot of things. But one of the ones that I remember is I got here, it was just in the middle of winter, and it was sunny outside. So I come sleep, and then you see the sun outside. I'm like, oh, t-shirt and go out and enjoy the sun. And I really went and I'm a t-shirt and I'm enjoying the sun and I'm walking around. I'm walking and not walking. And I meet this couple. I said this couple was older then. Maybe they were my age now, And they asked me, are you an international student? I said, yes. I mean, how do they know I'm an international student? I said, yes, I'm an international student. Do you have a jacket? I said, yes, I have a jacket. So go and wear your jacket. And I'm like, I didn't question that. Of course, I'm in a new country. It's the night after I wake up, just landed. So I go back to the hotel. I was staying in the hotel because the dorms were not open. I had come here to go to school. And I put on my jacket. And now the body starts responding. But the body now is now, I'm feeling myself. Before I was just feeling something that's not quite clear what it was telling me. And that was, oh, that is what interviews are about, that is the chord that was striking me very hard. Then the school opened and I went to the dorms and personally, I would say I suffered a lot from communication. I did. People were not understanding. I wasn't understanding. People are moving. This country, people move and nobody is minding your own business. In Kenya, where I had come from Kenya, one, I'm from a large family. Two, the village mates, everybody. You can know somebody 4 miles away. You know everybody. Because when you need salt, when you're going to school, you know everybody. So I'm like, how come people, I say, good morning, nobody's talking to me. You start talking to somebody, people are running away. It was hard. I'm like, how is this? What is this culture? You're in the dorms, and my roommate, I was making phone calls and in the night and complaining, like, I just want to talk to somebody who can listen to me. So I struggled. When I left Kenya, my nieces, I told you I'm among the younger ones, so my nieces were afraid that the country you're going of America, you never come back again. So they all went to the market and bought me souvenirs. They brought me souvenirs of earrings, of necklaces, of little baskets, little cups. Say, Auntie, when you go, keep this in case you don't come back, you remember me. Auntie, keep this because in case you don't come back, you remember me. They escorted me big time in the airport. Everybody crying, Auntie, you're gone. My sister, you're gone. My parents, you never come back. Because people came to the US and you never went back. You didn't go back because you're afraid. You're leaving the support, because we support our country quite a bit when we are here. Right now, I can tell you, Kenya is being supported right now by diaspora. My people sending money is what's supporting the economy of Kenya right now. So I went to international students and I told them, hey, when I came from in the university, when I came from Kenya, I had souvenirs that my family gifted me. Can I showcase in the dorm? Can I showcase them? I said, oh, sure. We'll set up a place for you at the dining hall. We'll have a table and showcase. I said, nice. So I started showcasing. But I set up the table there. What the jewelry, the cups, everything I had, put it on the table. And people started coming to look. We were touching, they were asking questions. And I'm like, oh my God. Now I can hear you. You can hear me. Look at what has happened. Just sharing my artifacts, my traditional goods has created this media of communication. And I just felt like present, and I felt whole, and I felt new, and I felt refreshed. And then they asked me, can you sell them? Like, I will sell them. I will sell. I want to keep this communication going. Yeah? So I started selling the earrings for $2. And one lady, she must be a work member. But she told me, up your price. It cannot be $2. Up your price. And I'm like, hello, who is this? People are telling you to up your price. So I put them $5. They say, yeah, $5 to $8. So I put some $5 and $6. This is a good place. Now we are hearing, we are understanding. And I start selling. I started selling. They started coming in and they asked me, do you know about Little Balkans Festival? I'm like, you know what? Do you know this? I'm like, I don't know nothing. Tell me, okay, we'll get you started. You should be set up at 4th of July. And then the Little Balkans that comes in September. Sure enough, 4th of July, I was a vendor with their gifts. Sold them all. And that's how my business, Gitzell FairTrade, was started. Sold the souvenirs, one after the other. When I went to the my first 4th of July festival, so I thought you go and, anyway, I don't know what I thought, but I went with my souvenirs, I put everything on the floor, on the grass, everything. I was selling on the floor. And I sold quite a bit, a few, or whatever I had. Then my next vendor told me, hey, now you have some money, we can go to Walmart and buy a table and a tent for tomorrow. The following day came, I was a pro. So I am a pro today, except for Marlene, who really beat me up yesterday, like, okay, we can do this, we can do this. But that's how my business was started. Before I went to set up at 4th of July, I got a job working for McDonald's. And when you're from third world countries, there is a job for everyone. If you are the cook, you're the cook. If you're the cashier, you're the cashier. If you are the CEO, you're the CEO. You're the store manager, the store manager. You cannot be a store manager and you're cleaning tables when it's busy, like happens here. So I went to work for McDonald's, and they asked me, can you work a drive-through? I'm like, driving where? It was a challenge all through, but that was my first job. I remember today, now I know you can be anything in this country, particularly when you are a business owner. So anyway, I will continue. It's my journey, and let me know when is a stopping point. Please, one of you let me know when's a stopping point. So I came to Pittsburgh, Kansas, and 1998, 2002, when I got my MBA. And I like to talk about this one dark moment in my life. This is, my son was born just before I finished my MBA. And now my business, now my income is selling crafts, traveling all over, setting up. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that, right? You become a vendor in this festival, another vendor in that festival. So, and now my son is born and I'm a single mother, so I cannot travel very much. And I was limited on how do I maintain my family now? How do I maintain me and my son? And it was a sad moment because I moved to St. Louis and started working a job. And one night from that job, I called my sister in Kenya and said, I cannot be able to make a living this way. My heads are not meeting. I'm working on healthcare, very, taking care of nursing home, very, very compassionate job. But heads were not meeting and I have to meet so I said, can I bring my son home? At this point, it's 2002, from the souvenirs, I started telling my family back home, my mother was a weaver. I said, You guys start weaving, start making whatever pieces you can make. I will sell them. There is a connection here. I can support you guys while still and sell for still create a culture and a theme here going. So that time I had already become a specialist, importing goods. So this time I decided to export my son to Kenya because I needed to make life, just to be able to balance life and be able to have a living. And remember, I come from a place where there's many people, there's labor. So it's like, I'm gonna export you and have you taken good care of here than both of us struggling here. It's a decision that a mother has to make. Then after that, I was able to also go back to corporate and been doing corporate life for a long time, for 17 years, until 3 years ago when I was doing corporate and I was doing Gitzell FairTrade until 3 years ago when I took early retirement so I can just focus on Gitzell FairTrade. I'll share a little bit about how I joined corporate because my life has been that of I saw in your website about resilience and community, and those are the things that have made me who I am today. When I moved to St. Louis and I wanted to go back to corporate, I went to community college. And I'm like, I know I've done an MBA here, but I have a science degree. Can I volunteer in the labs? So I'm preparing the labs. I said, well, yeah, sure. I come and volunteer in the labs on go peel glassware. And in 2 weeks, my resume was fresh. You keep your resume fresh now, working in the community college lab. And then I interviewed the agencies and I was posted at Monsanto, which is recently bought by Bayer, and then was posted in Hawaii. And that's how my corporate life started. And I worked there until 3 years ago. So what are my learnings? What have I learned in this journey of being here? One, I needed to reinvent myself. I needed to know that what brought me here will not get me there. I came here like knowing how things work in Kenya, but professional. But when I got here, I struggled a lot. So I had to reinvent myself. I had to understand how systems work. How are these integrated? This is a fast world and a fast world. Everything moves very fast. Time. When you say time, I remember my first meeting when I was fresh in Pittsburgh, Kansas. The meeting was starting at 4. In Kenya, a meeting starting at 4 is going to probably start at
6, 8.
You don't know when it will start. It will start based on the need of the meeting and whether the quorum is there. So I'm like, well, let me go at 4:45. So 4:45, I meet people outside just like the way we were outside there. And I'm like, when is the meeting starting? Oh, we just finished. The meeting that was starting at 4 is finished at 4:45. It's ended. And now I'm coming in at 4:45. And that's when I realized time is everything. And I can tell you, young lady, time here is everything. If you can manage your time and be on time, you'll be successful. Plenty versus scarcity. I came from a country where we didn't have enough to eat. There was not enough food to eat. And then I come here, I'm in the dorms, a meal plan, and the first meal plan I had, the meal plan of 14 of unlimited. Because I want unlimited food, because I am coming from a place you don't have food. And I got to the dining hall, and unlimited means you go in anytime and eat anything, anytime. I'm like, oh, this is a lot. I mean, there's a lot. I'm like, in my Kenya, there's no food. So I cut it down to 14 meals. I ended up cutting again, but before I cut so much, I had already eaten so much that today I walk to wear it down. I learned how these get interrelated. What does having a social security number means? Your date of birth, credit systems, record, traceability, print or hosting. I became eager to get education information, and I informed myself a lot. I would attend any meeting just to get information, because I realized what I needed is to learn how things work. Whatever brought me here will not get me there. The other thing I learned, and this one today I like to talk about the international students, let us not confuse movement with progress. Because things are moving, you know. If you're moving from, if you're in the dorm, you're in class, or like here, you know, we are staying in that other hall, we have to come here and eat and come here, you know, activities happening. Things are happening. Every day you're busy doing something. And I sat back and I say, okay, I'm busy every day, but am I progressing or am I just busy? Am I progressing? And that's something I measure myself, and I urge newcomers and everybody. It's good to check. Are you progressing? We were talking earlier on about next door neighbor and those networks out there that we have. You know, meetings like this. Have we learned something since we've been here? Last night I sat down, I learned the code. I can say I learned the code, I only touched it once, you know, but at least I know now there's code in Weave. Are we progressing? One of the things that immigrants do is we live in two places. If you ask me where home is, I'm going home. I think I already told some people I'm heading home on Monday. Well, home is Kenya. Because home is your mother is, right? My parents are not there, but that's where home is. That's my parents are deceased. We live in two places. You make money here, you want to invest in place. You live in poor, you're living in an apartment here, but you're building mansions in your country. Because there's something you lack that you saw others doing. So we live in two places. And I learned back in 2009, I was flying back and saying, you know what? I need to ground myself in one place. Because if I'm grounded here, I'm going to be more useful, I'm going to be more impactful to myself, my son, my family, and everybody around me, and I'll be happy. At that point, I was doing a few things, including still working, Gitzell FairTrade, I'm a licensed realtor, I got my citizenship, and that decision of settling here really helped me quite a bit. Service to humanity is service to God. You know, I grew up with Christian faith, and I realized it is good to be of service to the community. And I do help a lot. I volunteer a lot in several boards. And this is family during COVID. During COVID, I have my nieces in North Carolina, and they're all in the healthcare industry. I was working from home, and I said, bring all your kids here. I'll take care of them. All 5 kids and my own came to my house, and I'm like, let us be, at least I'm not in healthcare. We can all at least contain ourselves, and we would enjoy ourselves going to the zoos and going to volunteer with the food distribution. Also, I do help a lot with women farmers in Kenya who bring planting supplies. So let me now talk a little bit about Gitzell FairTrade International. As a member of FairTrade Federation, and I started this back again as a student to support artisans and weavers with a mission of improving their livelihood. And just around that time then came the Millennium Goals, SDG goals, and I'm aligned to SDG number 1, which is no poverty. So we work with artisans. Currently, we are in 5 different countries, and we support. I am still very traditional on how I do the business because I'm a one-woman business. So I tell the weavers, the artisans, make what you make best. And that's what I will sell. I haven't gone yet to designs and development. I haven't done that. I still say, if it is this group, if you're making this pot, like this pot basket from Ghana, they'll do the pot basket, add the colors they like, add the whatever. And we give them the sizes. And why that is important to us is because I want to promote them at the level they are, and work with entrepreneurs at the level they are. And so we pay them fairly. But more importantly, the way we improve their lives is most people are not able to weave or do their craft or crochet or knit or woodwork because they don't have the raw materials that they need. So we work with them and we provide down payment so they can buy the raw materials that they need to make a craft. We pay them by the piece. We pay them market price, all better. We save them from the price fluctuations in the market. Many times when I was in school, I would be sent home and my mother would go harvest potatoes or sweet potatoes or have a basket and say, let's go to the market. Put on your uniform, you're going back. So that means whatever price you will get, whether it's a loss or not, I have to go back to school. So I saw often that price fluctuation, the market, the number of supply and demand. So we save them that because we say we're going to get the products at market price or better, piece rate, and we get it from where you are. So you don't have to spend your day going to the market to haggle with prices and sell at a loss. No, we'll get it and you make as many as you can. We'll sell that. We'll sell that. So this is my warehouse in St. Louis, Missouri, in St. Charles. We do our tours and also we do a building. Currently, we are getting product from Kenya, from Ghana, from Senegal, Uganda, and Madagascar. Last night, I was very, very excited with the movie that we were watching because I have been trying to get this documentary. And just on Thursday, I clicked send to the person who's going to put the documentary for Uganda. And I'm like, okay, hold on. I learned something yesterday, some things I can apply. So it was really nice to watch the movie last night. This is, we carry mainly basket is my, I had to focus a little bit more, and basket is what I'm passionate about. But I do carry all other jewelry and wall hangings and wall decor, home goods. I do customize in case an organization or a team wants a custom order. We can do that as well. Those are an obvious statement that there's a relationship between livelihood and income. So our goal is to work with these artisans so that they have some surety of a market, because that is what lacks most. Is there's a lot of people who can do crafts. I was telling, even your name, Soon, I was telling Soon, and she's very aware. Because of lack of employment, we're not having problem of handing down skills. Because now people, I'm like, okay, if my father is a woodworker, I can learn woodworking and give it a Gen Z taste and start selling that. So we are having people, younger people, and other people in the arts and industry because formal employment is not there. So on the left is the Sustainable Development Goals, and on the right is the Fair Trade principles, the 9 principles of fair trade that we work with and we respect. We are verified, and people ask, why do you want to be verified? For me, as an immigrant, a Black woman who lives the life and who has lived the life of an artisan, it was important to associate myself with a verifying body because of the credibility. The credibility is what I was looking for. That so because there's that pivoting point that she's verified, she has the principle she's working with, so that you don't feel like you're taking advantage of the artisans, because we do not. We put them with all manner of respect. What would I tell somebody like Soon? No, when young immigrants come to the US, what did I tell them? And what do I tell them? Is one, understand how systems work. Take back from partying and doing all things and just understand, what does immigration mean, particularly right now? A lot of international students, they go home in the summer, like now, but they are not going. They're afraid you go, you're gonna come back. Even me, I'm going on Monday, and I travel with 2 passports, and I'm like, am I gonna travel with 2 passports, or should I get my ETA and just use the, it is real life. As an immigrant, it is real life. We live this every day, and it's scary sometimes. It is scary. So international students are staying here. So if you have some in your neighborhood, invite them for coffee. And let them help you cut grass. Keep them busy if there's any. The other thing I tell them is self-awareness. Is what room are you in and why are you there? Am I there because when I get invited for something, or a board membership or a committee, the first thing I ask myself is, why are they inviting me? I want to see who else is there. Are they inviting me to check a box that I'm Black? Are they inviting me because I'm a woman? Am I there because I'm an entrepreneur? Am I there, why are they inviting me? And why does it matter to me? It matters to me because I'm going to carry myself differently if it is only to check a box. But if they are inviting me like work did because they care about what I do, then I'm going to come here whole. You see the whole person, I want to eat with you. I want to hang out with you. I want to talk with you. It really matters when I'm invited. When we're invited, we look at why is that person inviting you. And I do really want to take this opportunity to thank you all through Lindsay for giving me this opportunity. I also say, balance your life. Have a life, work-life balance. Have a cultural life balance. We talk about work-life in corporate. How about make sure you have a good balance of life? You're cooking your food, where you can find your flour, your ethnic food. When I came to the US in St. Louis, I was talking to a marketing group 3 weeks ago. And when I came to St. Louis, you could not find white corn, white flour. You couldn't. So we use the yellow. It doesn't taste the same. When I ask someone to give me white corn, a farmer, they say, no, you cannot. I cannot give you. I'm like, but that's what I eat. I said, no, nobody eats it here. So balance, don't lose it. Get yourself immersed in the community and follow through your passion, because passion will always pay. Passion will always create opportunities. I did continue to reinvent myself. And after I took my son home and we were stable, I went and got him back. And I also imported a husband. So we live happily married in St. Louis. He's a friend for many years. What keeps me motivated is my family. I can tell you from first, my family comes first. And 2, when I place that order, because now I bring items in large quantities in the warehouse, we build the containers. Takes time, 6 months to build a container because everything has to be hand-woven. When I get that order, like I got an order yesterday, a big order coming in, it just gives me a lot of joy that many families are going to benefit and be profitable. So when you talk about yesterday, the story in the movie about the purple rag and the connection, I tell people, before you buy a basket, touch it, touch it, feel it. Because it's a handle that tells you the story. It is a handle in a basket that's going to tell you, is that the right size? Is it cutting okay? No, touch it. It's hard that I sell a basket to you, even when you come to the table there today, unless I can't, okay, give me that. I'm not able to. I say, why don't you touch it first and then touch another one? Because it is the connection of the weaver to you that's going to make you love that basket. It's not the $40 or $60 you're going to pay. It is how you felt buying, right? It is how you felt when you held it. I'll stop there and say, I've enjoyed. And I'm gonna ask questions. Okay. I'll take questions. And I love to do this because I helped me, with just the journey of weaving and how it has opened doors in my life, how it's connected a lot of us together, how it's connected a lot of communities. When we weave in any country, most of the people will be living at a tree together or at a shed. Somebody was talking about bringing the sewing machine on a Saturday and you sew together. That community togetherness, that community is woven by the craft that they do. The other thing I want to mention is that we work with women groups and men. We work with women groups or co-ops. Men don't like to be called men groups, they like co-ops. But mainly, my business has been 80% women groups. Why do we work with groups? I'll say this is group for Chad on this side, and this is group for Soon, and that's group for Marin. You become a collateral for each other. So I send you, let's say I place an order of 600 of this round basket, and I send you 50% of my money. I don't know you. You'd say to eat the money. I don't have any way of suing you or taking to court. That money is gone. But the groups are so strong that they want to eat today and eat tomorrow and eat the next day. So they hold each other accountable. So if I place an order of 600 to this artisan group of Chad, and there are 40 members, it's not going to be equal number. It's not going to be 40 to 600 divided by 40. No. It is, as a group, we need to produce 600 pieces. Let's go work. So some people will work by themselves. Some will work with family members, family and friends, because they're being paid by the piece. If just today being June 7, by end of August, I want 600 pieces ready. So they hold each other accountable so that you don't lose money, because I am not only myself Gitzell FairTrade. Lindsay is also ordering, and Chad is ordering, and Baskets of Africa is ordering, other organizations are ordering. So they know that if they are trusted, there will be continuity and their lives is going to change, because we are saving them and assuring, we're saving time and assuring them of the market. Wanted to say that.
You ready for some questions?
Yes, if there's questions, I'm ready.
Thanks, so for the people that are listening at home on Zoom, we're going to ask that whoever's asking the question, ask it in this microphone so we can hear. And then Zelly, if you don't mind repeating it into the microphone up there, repeat the question so that the people at home can hear what the question is. Who has a question? Chad has a question.
This one comes from online, from Abdul Rashid. Thank you. I need more information about the trade fair. Is it an annual program, and when is it usually held?
I'm very referring to fair trade and trade fair. Because trade fair is, trade shows it's a totally different thing. Trade shows is where you schedule as wholesalers to do sell product, which I haven't talked about that. I was talking about fair trade, where you become a verified member in an application process. And I'm happy to live with them. I am a board member there of the Fair Trade Federation. Lindsay just finished her 6-year term. We miss her very much. I'm very happy to help them do the process of becoming verified. Number one, they need to be in business for 1 year in the US. And this verification is for North America and Canada business owners.
Thanks. Another question for Zellipah?
I wondered if you still do any weaving yourself.
She's asking if she wonders if I still do weaving myself. I do weaving, not to finish a basket, but mainly to demonstrate or train, like get basic training, like I was doing on Friday with the high schoolers. But yeah, I do still weave, but not necessarily with the goal of finishing a product. But I can take it from the beginning to the end if I need to. And I was telling Soon, because I talked to her quite a bit, is I don't plan on getting to a point where I'm making baskets because the cost of producing a basket here would more than 10 times the price. So let's support the artisans.
Okay, start back here with Roy forward to the questions.
How do you determine the pricing for the baskets? Is it just the local market, or do you have some sort of markup that you use?
Pricing is a big deal. So remember how I mentioned when we place an order, it takes about 6 months, minimum 5 to 6 months from placing the order to getting it here. So you're calculating the cost of what you paid the weavers, you're calculating the transport cost, and then you're calculating the customs work, if there is any. Right now, most of the products are duty-free unless it is fabric. But what comes a little bit challenging is now when things arrive in the US, or you're paying on a different currency, a weaker currency on the other side, now you get here, everybody I'm paying by the dollar rate, you know? So we put a lot of factoring. I've gone through a pricing class in the past. And so we price accordingly. We have markups that we have created percentages. But more importantly, we are looking across competition. I spend a lot of time looking at competition. What is competition? And sometimes I ask myself, how can I justify what competition is doing? So once my percentages work, that's what I price at. But it is looking at everything, warehousing, credit card costs, net 30s, damages. Damages is a big deal because once I ship this basket to a customer, like maybe Lindsay, who has a store and has a little thing like this, to her it's a dent, it's a damage. So I need to replace. I cannot ship it back because of the cost of shipping, it's a loss. So we have to factor losses at almost 3 to 5%.
If I understood, you have 3 sales channels. You still go to fairs, you sell online, and then you also wholesale, right? Is that a question that follows that?
That's the next question I'm going to answer both.
I'm curious about online sales, and you talked about touch, and it's very hard when you're shopping online to get that feeling. But so many of the artisans want to be online and are working to go online. So I'm just curious how the online sales factor for you, how much do you get from online?
Okay, that's why questions are very important because I skip that part. So after going to festivals and fairs for very many years, 2010, I transitioned completely to be a wholesaler. So I wholesale to retailers. Currently, we are a little over 1,200 stores in North America and Canada. I also thank you. I also do most one fair, most of you familiar fair. I also do retail at a local farmers market because that is where I get to hear. That's where I'm getting the real feedback. Is at the local farmer, and my husband cannot even stop me from going to a farmers market. I am like, I can't even sleep. I am there on a Saturday morning. Because that's when I get real feedback. That's when I get real feedback. So the question of touching and feeling is that's where I experience most. But when a retailer buys from me and have a store there, I would expect the same, like the buyer and take about a buyer can feel. Because really you want to feel it. You want to know. Like it's like a dress, you want to try it on, right? We do have a website. Our website right now is Shopify, so is supported from a retail. So we have a retail. We normally get probably at most 1 order a month because we're not marketing to retailers. At most 1 order a month. So we don't even read that on our line. But it's wholesale that really keeps us business. And you can buy online or call we also have a traditional sales manager who will call you, or you can call and talk to a person, or you can go on fair and buy from fair. So yes, I get what you mean. When it comes to the handcraft industry, a lot of makers suffer from that because a buyer they cannot go to the nearest stores or nearest Walmart and feel it. It's something they want to feel. So there's that challenge. And so you try to do the best you can to describe.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. I have a question about the makers of the baskets. You indicated that you let them do what they were familiar with and to early on. I'm curious about whether they have made innovations in their styles or techniques over time.
The question is whether they have made innovations and techniques over time. Yes, and no. I would say the woodwork has advanced a little more than the weaving industry, than the basket weaving industry. One of the biggest challenges we have in the weaving industry, particularly of sisal, is intertwining this. It's twisting to intertwine. And we still use our thighs, It's still rough on our thighs. We still use our thighs, Getting the juice out of the sisal, the cactus. We still do it manually or on the tree. There's 2 factories now in Kenya, but then you have to pay the cost of, that's for export, for Jutex, for the sisal export. So the weaving industry is still very rudimentary, to speak with. The part that has changed a little bit is the dyeing. Initially, we used to do traditional dyeing. Like I grew up when we used the dot, the earth, the charcoal, to make colors. But right now, it's commercial colors. Sometimes we believe you burn it with the pieces of wood, some specific trees, you make it hold better. So the weaving industry has not changed much. It is the woodworking or the fabric, the patchwork that has become more advanced.
We've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, and I'm sure Zellipah will be happy to talk to anyone who wants to chat after this.
I'm just curious, what is the most significant impact on the communities of your makers in Africa, participating in your business, in the business?
That is so the question is, what is the most significant impact? I don't know who I was sharing yesterday that I don't personally go saying that this group, they have bought water tanks, they are taking their kids to school now because of the work I do, or I work with them. I don't take that credit. I don't want to take that credit because I do not know what they do with their money. It is what they tell me. And I'll tell you, when I go, like now I'm going on Saturday, on Tuesday, and I meet them, they'll tell me things and they'll show me pictures like this. I was able to pay, my kid was home. When you sent the money, you were able to go to school. Let me give you a live example. Today, this morning, I was supposed to, I have an order. We partner a lot. So I partner with Just Tea and their order, the organization, the co-op that makes those spoons, they wanted their pay. They paid yesterday, Friday. And I cannot send any money because my mobile transfer have been suspended because of sending, separate transactions. It's when I get the message this morning, hey, Gitzell, can you try? Because this family has a clinic or an appointment on Monday and everything is money. So what the communities don't work as a community. They don't spend money as a community, they spend money as an individual. The money is individual. So it is individual stories that that they share to us what they've done with the money. But we don't collectively look at what has the community done because they spend the money individually. But the impact is real. You can see changes. Somebody show you now, no, I have a roof, I have a tank, I bought a goat, I took a kid to school. I don't want to take credit wholly because, like I told you, the weavers are only your weavers when you're weaving your order. Once I get my order, they become your weavers. Their job is to weave.
Maybe one more question. No? Oh, one more, right.
Last one.
And then, don't chat with Zoe. Where's the one?
Yes, I have my table set up there with the marketplace.
So I'm looking at the color sisal that you've got here. It seems that it's much lighter in shade than the cones that I have sitting in my workroom at home. And you're twisting it differently. I haven't felt it, but it looks softer. But the product's different because I work with it with my hand. You work with this with your hand versus a commercial.
Sisal is not soft. Sisal is not. The question is asking whether the sisal is soft. Sisal is not soft. What you're probably seeing, this is not soft. What you're probably seeing is this.
There, but I saw you doing this with your hand.
This one.
But this one you were showing us this lighter color that's here. I see a color difference.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
I don't know that because some of them these are plants, they will have a shade. Even when you extract it, you have a shade. Some of them will have green, some of them will, like this is actually pretty white, some of them will be gray. And then if it has collected dust, that's another thing. As we work with our hands, it's getting oils on the way. But I think they were saying there's about, I visited the production, the growing season, I think there's about 18 different varieties of sisal. So one of them will be different. But for being soft, I don't know, you find it very hard.
All right, thank you, Zoe.
Thank you.